I stood in the kitchen, the water from the faucet running steadily, the clatter of porcelain cups sounding harsh in the stifling morning heat. The scent of half-brewed coffee lingered in the air. From the dining room, Summer's voice rang out again and again as she urged the child along, sometimes sweet, sometimes impatient. I glanced around the kitchen. Everything was clean, modern, well-equipped, yet there was a chill I couldn't shake. I muttered under my breath, half to myself, half out of frustration. Every morning is the same, noisy like a chaotic marketplace. Kids these days are coddled beyond belief. Even getting them to eat a bowl of cereal takes coaxing. Summer walked into the kitchen, a glass cup in her hand, speaking quickly. "Mom, let me get Ben's milk. He's about to be late for school." I frowned slightly, my tone slowing, laced with a hint of reproach. School on a Saturday? Kids these days have it harder than adults. Back when Robert was alive, it was never like this. At that, my throat tightened. Just hearing his name sent a sharp pang through my chest. It's already been 2 years. 2 years living alone in this house, with memories pricking at my heart like thorns. Summer let out a quiet sigh, trying to keep her voice gentle. "Mom, please don't bring up Dad again. I've told you many times, don't compare Ben to someone who has passed away." Her words burned in my chest. She spoke softly, but the way she said it left a bitter taste. I curled my lips into a smile, though it never quite reached my face. Yes, I know. Everything is different now. All we eat are canned goods and fast food. And even breakfast for the child, can't you at least cook a proper bowl of oatmeal by hand? She didn't respond, just turned and quietly walked out of the kitchen. The sound of her heels tapped steadily on the wooden floor, firm and deliberate. I watched her go, a vague sense of discontent rising in me. The house fell into that same uneasy silence again. Outside the dining room, Ben sat perched on a chair, tapping his spoon against the bowl of cereal, splashing milk everywhere. Summer was still trying to coax him, juggling between packing his bag and hurrying him along. "Ben, hurry up, we're already late. I need to get to work right away." The boy pouted, his lips drawn into a stubborn line. "I don't like cereal. I want pancakes." I stepped out, trying to suppress my irritation, bent down beside him, and softened my voice. "Be a good boy, Ben. This cereal Grandma bought is delicious. Look, I'll add some berries for you." Then I turned to Summer. My voice changed again, sharper this time. I couldn't hold it back. "You've spoiled him too much. Back in my day, we ate whatever was served. We didn't dare to be picky." Summer froze, her eyes lowered. Her breathing quickened. She was clearly trying to stay calm. Then she spoke, no longer able to keep it together. "Mom, let me take care of him. I really don't have time for this." I knew she was tired, but the way she said it made me feel like I was in the way. Summer hurriedly gathered the dishes, grabbed her bag and Ben's backpack. In the midst of the rush, she placed her pink phone on the TV shelf and forgot all about it. The door opened, the sound of the car engine flared up, then slowly faded into the distance. The house instantly felt empty. Only the ticking of the wall clock and the oppressive heat in the kitchen remained. I sighed and sat down at the messy dining table, quietly starting to clean up the dishes. A mix of irritation and sadness slowly welled up inside me. I thought about Summer, about the way she rushed through life, treating everything like a burden. Always running like she's being chased, I thought to myself. Forgetting things, not knowing the value of money. It was never like this in my time, when Robert and I were raising a family. By the time I finished cleaning the kitchen, beads of sweat had already gathered on my forehead. Outside, the sun beat down on the stone path, dazzling and harsh. just like every summer morning in this small town. I went back to the living room and sank into the familiar armchair by the window. My back ached a little. My legs felt heavy, yet the weight in my chest from the morning's frustration still refused to fade. My eyes wandered aimlessly around the room. The same photograph of him sat on the mantelpiece. The frame was old, the wood worn, but the smile on that face remained as vivid as the last time I saw it. I stared longer than usual. The way he tilted his head, the gentle warmth in his eyes, made my heart tighten. Suddenly, the phone rang. The sharp sound shattered the silence of the house. I flinched. Looking down at the screen, I saw an unfamiliar number. No name saved. I hesitated for a moment, then reached out and pressed the answer button. I didn't speak, just held the phone to my ear and waited. A brief silence. Then a voice came through. I froze. That voice. I could never mistake it. It was his, Robert's. Deep, warm, slightly hoarse, carrying that tender rhythm I knew so well. "Darling, Summer? Can you hear me? It's me. Why so quiet? I'm calling to remind you not to be late for our meeting this afternoon. I've missed you so much." I couldn't breathe. My whole body turned to stone. My hand trembled, but the phone stayed pressed to my ear as if glued there. I tried to open my mouth, to say his name, but my throat was dry. No sound would come out. My heart pounded wildly, then seemed to stop altogether. His voice came again, softer this time, almost a whisper. "All right, you must be busy. I'll text you later then. Take care of yourself. When we meet this afternoon, I'll make it up to you. Goodbye, my love." The cold, monotonous beeping echoed through the quiet living room. I stood there, my hand gripping the phone until my fingers went numb. Then suddenly, it slipped from my grasp and fell onto the carpet with a heavy thud I would never forget. I could no longer stand. My whole body went numb. Everything around me seemed to collapse, crashing together, drowning me in panic. "Robert," I whispered his name, my voice trembling, barely more than a breath. "Robert, are you still alive? You and your wife? What is this?" I looked up at the photograph on the mantelpiece. He was still smiling in that picture, as if he had never left. But now, that smile twisted before my eyes, grotesque and false. I glanced down at the phone lying motionless at my feet. I sank into the chair, clutching my chest, feeling as though an invisible hand were squeezing the life out of my heart. The pain was not just in my body, but in my soul, torn apart from within. I couldn't hold it back anymore. A silent scream burst out of me as tears streamed down, hot and stinging. They had deceived me. They had deceived my son. Oh God. I sat on the bed, clutching a pillow tightly to my chest, as if it were the only thing keeping me from falling apart. The room was completely dark, with only a faint light from outside slipping through the curtains, filtering through the curtains and casting a dim streak of light across the worn carpet. I was no longer crying out loud. My tears had dried up at some point. I didn't even know when. All that remained was an emptiness and a deep, hollow ache, as if someone had scraped everything out of my chest. In front of me, on the vanity table, was a portrait of him, Robert, the man I had loved for 35 years of my life. He was still smiling in that photo, his gaze warm and familiar. But tonight, that smile sent a chill down my spine. I couldn't look away from that face. And then, the old memories began to return. So vivid I felt as if I were living them all over again. I remembered that afternoon, about 3 years ago, in this very kitchen. Summer had just come downstairs in a red dress she'd bought recently. I still remembered how it clung too tightly, and stood out a little too much. He had whistled softly, his eyes lighting up like a young man again. "Wow, Summer, that dress looks stunning on you." I frowned, pursed my lips, and muttered something sarcastic. So flashy. Young people these days just love to show off. He turned to me and gently patted my hand, his voice light and teasing. "That's true, nothing like how you used to be. But she's young. Let her enjoy herself." At the time, I thought he was just trying to ease the tension, smoothing things over for the sake of peace in the house. But now, sitting here, I could see clearly the look in his eyes that day. It wasn't the indulgence of a father-in-law. It was the gaze of a man trying to hide his admiration. I clasped my hands tightly together, trying to shake off the chill that had begun to creep down my spine. But the old images kept resurfacing. Another night came to mind. Summer was learning to drive. It should have been Alex teaching her, but instead, he volunteered. That night, when they got back, he sighed and said to me, "She's a terrible driver. So clumsy. Just one evening, and I'm completely worn out." I nodded, thinking it was nothing. "Then just let Alex teach her. He's her husband after all. You don't need to take that on." He only shook his head, gave my shoulder a pat, and said, half joking, half serious, "Well, just trying to help out my daughter-in-law. But honestly, it's exhausting." Now I finally understand what that exhaustion really meant. It wasn't fear of her poor driving. It was the weariness of pretending, after spending time alone with her in that closed car, with no one watching, no one listening. I tilted my head and looked at the photo on the table once more. My vision blurred as fresh tears welled up, but I couldn't stop the memories from flooding back. I remembered that time so clearly. I had just come back from the supermarket and saw a new handbag sitting on the table. Furious, I walked straight into the living room and told him. She bought another handbag. Such a waste. You need to tell Alex to make her stop. He was reading the paper and didn't even look up. His reply was calm, almost indifferent. She really doesn't know how to manage money. Wasteful. Nothing like you in the old days, always so thoughtful. Back then, those words had made me feel comforted, but now, thinking about them, I feel sick. Maybe that handbag was a gift from him, and those criticisms were nothing more than a way to mislead me. I bent forward, buried my face in my hands. A pain, like something tearing through my chest, left me breathless. Through ragged breaths, I whispered to myself, overwhelmed with anger and humiliation. "Fool. I've been such a fool." He was lying to me right to my face, and I was blind, letting myself be led by those cruel, calculated words. Oh God. I looked up at the ceiling, my eyes clouded. All those years of building a life together, all those years of trust, only to end up with a wound so deep it felt like a knife in the back. And worst of all, the hand that helped twist that knife belonged to the daughter-in-law I had once tried so hard to understand. That night, I couldn't sleep. The cold from the floor seeped through my thin slippers and made me shiver. The curtain swayed gently with the late-night breeze slipping through the window crack, casting a faint strip of light on the corner of the wall. In a house that was already quiet, it now felt as if every sound had been drained away, leaving nothing but the heavy rhythm of my heartbeat echoing through my chest. I hunched over, cradling my head in my hands. My tears had long dried, yet my shoulders still trembled with every breath. Everything had happened too fast, too suddenly, as if I were being swept away in a nightmare with no escape. And then, in the midst of all that confusion, one thought rose clearly in my mind. I couldn't face this alone. I needed my son. I pulled the phone from the drawer, my hands trembling so badly I had to dial the number twice before it went through. I pressed the phone tightly to my ear, waiting for the ring as my heart pounded out of control. "Alex, are you almost off work?" I tried to keep my voice steady, but it came out hoarse and broken. Even I could barely recognize it as my own. "Mom, I'm just about to head home. Is something wrong?" His voice was calm, casual. Hearing it like that only made the knot in my throat tighten. I swallowed hard, took a deep breath, and spoke slowly, choosing each word carefully. I need you to come home. Right now. Don't ask why. And don't tell Summer." The rustling on the other end stopped. Alex's tone changed immediately. He sounded serious now, concern creeping into his words. "Mom, what's going on? Are you sick? Is something wrong with Ben?" I bit my lip, then the words came out, almost like a plea. "No, it's about your father. Please, come here. Right now." As soon as I said it, I nearly shouted, then hung up without waiting for a response. My entire body went limp. I buried my face in my hands, and once again, the tears began to fall. There were no sobs left in me now, only ragged breathing and the quiet sound of a heart breaking. About 20 minutes later, I heard the sound of a car pulling up at the gate. I knew it was Alex. His house was right next to mine. I got up, quickly wiped my face, and walked into the living room. The soft yellow light was on, just bright enough to see everything without revealing too much of how worn out I had become. Alex pushed open the door, his face filled with alarm, eyes scanning the room for me. I sat down on the sofa and gave him a small wave. "Mom, what's going on?" "You scared me half to death." I reached out and took his hand, trying to stay composed so I wouldn't cry again. But when I opened my mouth, my throat tightened. "Son, I don't know how to say this, but I heard your father's voice." Alex froze. He looked at me closely, his brow furrowed, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "Mom, what are you saying? Dad's been gone for 2 years. Don't tell me you saw a ghost." I shook my head over and over, my hands clenched together. I spoke with firm conviction, as if every cell in my body was certain of what I was saying. It wasn't a ghost. It was real. A voice. From your wife's phone. I told him everything, every single detail. From the moment Summer forgot her phone, to the unexpected call, to the voice that came through, deep and familiar, carrying a warmth that repeated words of tenderness as if meant for a lover. When I reached the part where he said, "Don't be late this afternoon, and I'll make it up to you," my voice nearly broke apart, as if each word were a blade slicing into my chest. Alex sat frozen, then slowly stood up, his face drained of color. He began pacing back and forth like a caged animal. His fists clenched, released, then clenched again. "This can't be. Summer? And Dad? Are you sure? Maybe someone was imitating his voice?" I gripped his hand tightly, pouring all my strength into meeting his panicked eyes. "You think I'm old and confused, don't you? But your father's voice, the way he speaks, there's no way I could mistake it. They've been lying to us, both of them." Alex let out a roar, as if the fury needed somewhere to go. "Why? Why would she do that? And Dad is alive? Then what about the car crash? Was that all an act?" I lowered my head, whispering as if confessing something bitter. "I don't know. I truly don't. But we can't confront them now. They'll deny everything. We need proof. Son, I need you." Alex stopped pacing. He looked at me for a long moment. In his eyes, I saw a storm, a violent mix of pain, anger, and the last fragile pieces of hope crumbling away. At last, he nodded. His face seemed to harden, all expression gone, replaced by a cold stillness. "All right, We'll find out the truth, but we have to be careful. Leave it to me." I gave a faint nod. The two of us sat in silence beneath the soft yellow light, in a room that had once felt familiar, but now seemed chillingly foreign. Outside, the wind slipped in through the crack of the window, bringing with it a fear I had never known before. It was the fear that everything I had ever trusted, everything I had spent my life protecting, might have been nothing more than a cruel and carefully constructed lie. Alex's study, which also served as a spare bedroom, was a place I rarely entered. It was neat and orderly, with light gray wallpaper and books lined up neatly on wooden shelves. But tonight, that room became the starting point of the most painful search for truth I had ever faced in my life. Alex sat down at his desk and opened the familiar laptop he used for remote work. He lifted the lid, and his long fingers began tapping across the keyboard, his face focused under the dim light of the desk lamp. I stood behind him, my hands still clasped tightly together, unable to stop shaking. "I'm going to log into the family's phone carrier account. I'm the primary account holder, so I can access call history and data usage." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. Every second waiting for him to pull up the records felt like another beat squeezed out of me. In my mind, scattered images swirled endlessly, impossible to stop. After a while, Alex paused. His eyes locked onto something on the screen. I immediately stepped closer, standing right beside his chair, a clear sense that something was about to reveal itself. "Look at this. There's a strange number here. Area code 713. I think that's Houston. This number shows up a lot. Each call lasts quite a while, and there are several text messages from that number too, but the content only shows as received. You can't view the actual messages unless you check directly on the device. Houston." I repeated it silently to myself, as if to make sure I had heard it right. A chill spread from my back to the nape of my neck. "Houston. Can you find out who that number belongs to?" Alex shook his head, his expression darkening. "It won't be easy, but I have a way. Tomorrow, I'll ask a friend who works in information security to look into the owner of the number. It has to be done quietly." I nodded, my eyes fixed on the screen. The plain lines of text meant nothing to the world, yet they pierced through my trust like a needle. My daughter-in-law, the one who still called me Mom, had been in regular contact with a man who might very well be my husband. A man who was supposed to be resting peacefully in the ground. Alex turned to look at me. His eyes, once open and honest, were now clouded with a growing pain that he couldn't hide. "Mom, if that really is Dad, why? Why would he do this to us?" I didn't answer right away. I just looked at him, then slowly reached out and wrapped my arms around his shoulders. I held him tight, as if trying to pass on whatever strength I had left, even though I was running low myself. "We'll find out, son. Whatever the truth is, we have to face it. But we need to stay calm and smart. Don't let her suspect anything." Alex gave a slow nod. His face was still, his lips pressed tightly together, as if trying to hold back every emotion rising inside him. On Sunday morning, the sky was strangely clear, but the air inside my house felt heavy, as if every wall was straining to hold in an enormous secret. I stood at the stove, flipping pancakes, my eyes darting quickly toward the dining table. Summer was sitting there, facing me, her hair neatly brushed, a pale blouse buttoned up, a touch of lipstick on her lips. Everything about her appeared tidy and composed, yet her eyes were restless, uneasy. She kept glancing down at her watch, then at her phone. Every now and then, she forced a smile at Ben, as if trying to mask a nervous energy she could no longer contain. I set the plate of pancakes on the table, The boy lit up, clapping his hands. "Grandma, your pancakes are the best." I smiled at him and bent down to gently pat his head. "Eat up, Ben. Be a good boy." My voice sounded calm, even warm, but inside me there wasn't the slightest trace of peace. At that moment, Alex poured more orange juice into a glass, then turned to Summer with a completely neutral expression. "Something urgent came up at work this afternoon. I have to step out for a bit. Can you take Ben out?" Summer jumped slightly. I saw the reaction clearly. She looked up, her eyes briefly meeting Alex's before quickly shifting. Her expression adjusted almost instantly. "Sure. I was actually planning to take Ben to my mother's anyway. It works out." Her voice sounded light, but I caught that blink. It came too quickly, too deliberately. She had already prepared an excuse. I placed my hand on the table and looked directly at Summer, my voice soft like a passing breeze, but my eyes never left her face. "It's tiring to take the child out alone. How about I come with you?" Summer froze for a brief moment, then quickly shook her head, her voice slightly higher and not quite natural. "No need, Mom. Please, just rest at home. We'll only be out for a little while." I said nothing more. Neither did Alex, but our eyes met in a quick glance that said everything we needed to know. The play had begun. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The air was still. We sat in the car, parked a short distance from a small cafe called The Hideaway. I fastened my seatbelt, though my hands were still shaking. My heart pounded wildly in my chest like a caged bird thrashing for a way out. Alex sat beside me, gripping a camera with a long lens. His face no longer held any trace of the boy I once knew. Now, he looked like a man bracing himself to confront a pain delivered by the very person he had trusted most. I raised the binoculars, took a deep breath, and tried to stay calm. "Are you sure this is the place?" Alex didn't take his eyes off his phone screen. His voice was colder than I had ever heard it. My friend confirmed it. "That number belongs to a man named Leo, registered in Houston, and the phone is active in this area." I checked Summer's location history. She's heading here too. I gripped the binoculars tighter. Just then, a familiar white car slowed to a stop in front of the cafe. Summer stepped out, wearing a light blue dress, her hair tied up, heels clicking on the pavement. She glanced around briefly, then walked inside without looking back. I shivered. My heart was pounding so hard it echoed in my ears. She's inside. Neither Alex nor I said another word. Outside, the breeze stirred gently, but inside the car, the air felt heavy and suffocating. 5 minutes later, an old gray car pulled up at the far corner. A man stepped out, head lowered. Windbreaker, baseball cap, sunglasses. He moved quickly into the cafe without once looking back. I held my breath. Alex's breathing grew shallow. His voice caught in his throat. "That man. His build." I lowered the binoculars, gripping the edge of the seat, and spoke in a dry, broken whisper. "It's him. Even with the disguise, the way he walks, the way he turns his body to glance around. I couldn't mistake it. It's Robert. That man is the husband I mourned for 2 whole years. And now, he is meeting my daughter-in-law." I turned away, unable to keep watching, but Alex held the camera steady, already capturing every moment through the glass. We both knew this was only the beginning, but there was no room left for doubt. The truth was no longer a question. Sooner or later, everything would have to be faced, and those who betrayed us would have to pay. I didn't dare breathe too hard. That figure, though older now and moving a bit more slowly, still sat down in a way that froze me in place. He took off his sunglasses, removed his cap, lowered his head, glanced around, then lifted his face. I didn't need anyone to confirm it for me. I covered my mouth with my hand, trying to stifle the sob rising in my throat. Dear God, it's him. He's alive. The words barely made it out, falling one by one, cold and trembling, just like my body in that moment. But what I didn't expect was what happened next. They didn't sit across from each other like people sneaking around. No. They sat side by side, close together on a sofa tucked into the most hidden corner of the cafe. He was the man I once loved, the man I mourned after his supposed death. And now, he was sitting with his arm wrapped around my daughter-in-law's shoulders. Summer didn't flinch. She didn't pull away. On the contrary, she leaned in, rested her head on his shoulder, and even tapped his chest softly, like a child seeking affection. I wanted to shut my eyes, to turn away, but my gaze stayed locked, as if glued to that image. Alex muttered under his breath, his voice trembling with each word, as if he couldn't hold it in any longer. Bastard. Disgusting. They have no shame at all. Robert leaned in and kissed Summer on the cheek, slow and deliberate. She laughed, then whispered something in his ear. I couldn't hear the words, but just seeing it was enough to make my insides twist apart. Then he pulled a white envelope from his coat pocket. There was no need to open it. I knew it was money. Summer took it and gave him a bright, beaming smile. She pulled him closer and kissed his cheek in return, like a sweet little reward. I turned away, twisting in my seat. I couldn't take any more. That's enough. Take me out of here, please. I can't bear this. The words came out like a cry for help. Alex kept clicking the shutter. His face had gone pale, and sweat was gathering on his forehead. But his hands stayed steady on the camera, his eyes locked in fierce focus. Not yet, Mom. We need to know more. But for today, this is more than enough. Late at night, the two of us sat in Alex's study. The room was lit by the ceiling light and the glow from the large computer screen. Each photo, each video clip appeared with unnerving clarity. Every frame felt like a knife, not cutting into flesh, but slicing straight through trust and dignity, the kind a wife and a mother carries within her. Alex pointed at the screen. His voice was low, almost emotionless. Look, Mom, that's clearly Dad, and it's clear their relationship isn't normal. That envelope, it has to be money. I sat frozen. I didn't scream or cry, but the pain seeped out in every breath I took. Why? Why would he fake his death? Just to be free with his own daughter-in-law? And her? Why would she do this to you? Alex slammed his fist against the wooden desk. The sharp sound echoed through the room. Money. It has to be about money. But I think there's more. I suspect life insurance. He paused, frowning, thinking back. I remember a few years ago, maybe 4, a life insurance agent came to the house. Dad was really interested, even told me he was going to buy a large policy. But I completely forgot about it afterward. He turned to me, his eyes narrowing. I suspect he bought it and listed Summer as the beneficiary. This might not have been an accident at all. It could have been a plan, and Summer, she might be in on it. Alex opened another folder on the computer. A series of screenshots appeared, showing recovered text messages. Look at these. The messages were deleted, but my friend in cybersecurity was able to restore some of them. They're disgusting. Things like, wait for me. The full amount will be ready by the end of the month. And, I miss you. I miss you so much, it's driving me crazy. Alex shook his head and turned away, his voice catching in his throat. Oh God. No one said anything after that. The room felt thick, as if filled with black fog. The truth stood there, bare and undeniable, with nowhere left to hide. Alex lowered his head onto the desk, and his voice broke as the words came out, fractured and raw. So this is it. Our family, my happiness. Was it all just one big performance, all for money? I got up and walked over to hold my son. It was the embrace of a mother, but there was no softness left in it. No, it's not just about money. I spoke slowly. My voice no longer trembled. It was cold and firm. It's cruel betrayal, and those who betray us must pay. I lifted my head and looked at the screen. We have the evidence. Now it's time to plan the final act. Around 8 in the evening, Summer and Ben returned home. The sound of the door opening, footsteps, then that familiar sharp voice echoed through the house. God, the traffic was awful. Ben, take your shoes off, or you'll dirty the whole floor. Why didn't you turn on the lights in the living room? It's pitch dark in here. I heard Alex get up. He quickly turned off his phone screen and switched the lights on. His voice was calm, but it carried a cold edge. I forgot. The food's still in the microwave. Summer headed straight to the kitchen, her tone still filled with irritation. This food's cold. Where's Mom? Didn't she prepare dinner? I stepped out from the bedroom, keeping my voice as even as possible, though my eyes could no longer hide the chill in them. I thought you and Ben were eating out. I reheated it anyway. Summer opened the microwave, frowned, and pulled the food out. Eat out? We didn't cook anything at Mom's place. I'm too tired. Don't feel like eating. Ben, go upstairs and get cleaned up. She spoke as she walked up the stairs, not sparing a glance at me or her husband. Alex and I stood there, watching her figure disappear from view. We said nothing. But in that silence, I knew. Between us, something had been sealed, a silent agreement neither of us needed to speak aloud. This game, no matter how painful, had to continue until it came to its end. That morning, my house was steeped in a strange kind of silence. No one said much. No one laughed. The air felt heavy, as if something invisible were hanging between the ceiling and our hearts. Today marked the 2nd anniversary of Robert's death. He was my husband, the man I had believed was taken from this world in a car accident exactly 2 years ago. The living room had been cleaned and arranged neatly the night before. On the altar, his photo sat between 2 white candles. Incense smoke curled upward, filling the room with a scent both familiar and suffocating. Everything unfolded just as it had in years past. Yet inside me, there was nothing left that resembled remembrance. I wore a black velvet outfit, simple but solemn. In my heart, there was no mourning left. What remained was a plan slowly taking shape. Upstairs, Summer still hadn't come down. Her room remained shut tight. I stood at the bottom of the stairs for a long moment, then finally decided to go up. The upstairs bedroom was still lit by the soft glow of the bedside lamp. I stood just behind the half-closed door, quietly watching. Summer was facing the window, holding her phone tightly to her ear, speaking in a rushed, hushed voice. It was so low that I would have missed the entire conversation if I hadn't been listening intently. She said, "Don't worry, I'll be out soon. Everything's ready. God of all days, you chose the memorial for our meeting. It's ridiculous." "All right, I'm coming now." I said nothing. I simply pushed the door open. The sound made Summer jump, her entire body tensing up. She quickly slipped the phone into her dress pocket, and the look she gave me was the kind a child gives when they've just been caught doing something wrong. I walked into the room slowly, keeping my expression calm. The black dress I wore seemed to blend into the shadows behind me, but my voice rang out, steady and clear. "Summer, come downstairs. Everyone's waiting for you." She nodded awkwardly, her voice stammering. Yes, I'll be right there. I just need to fix my outfit. I nodded, but my eyes never left her face, the one struggling to appear composed. I understand. This year, today feels different from the others, doesn't it? That sentence landed like a cold blade against the back of her neck. I saw it. A small, involuntary shiver ran across her arm, but Summer said nothing. She only lowered her head and silently followed me down the stairs. The living room glowed brightly with candlelight and warm lamps. The silence felt sacred, like a small chapel. Framed photos of Robert were arranged neatly on the memorial table, surrounded by white flowers and drifting incense smoke. Alex stood at the front, holding a folded sheet of paper. His voice was choked with emotion, yet each word rang out clearly. Thank you, Dad, for giving me life and raising me. Even though you're gone, your presence remains whole in both Mom's heart and mine. I stood beside him, my eyes fixed on Summer. She sat below, among other family members. I noticed her eyes flicking down to her watch over and over. Her right foot tapped steadily, a clear sign of someone far too restless to sit still. An aunt sitting beside her leaned in and whispered, Summer, are you all right? You don't look very well. Summer startled slightly, as if yanked from a daze. She forced a smile, trying to make her voice sound natural again. Yes, I'm just a bit lightheaded. I haven't eaten, and I think it's making me dizzy. I stepped forward, my black shoes gliding softly across the polished wooden floor in the stillness of the room. Everyone remained seated, including most of Robert's relatives, a few of his old friends, and others whose faces showed a mix of curiosity and fatigue after Alex's speech. I took a deep breath, steadying my voice. Robert has a gift he wanted to share with everyone today. A stir ran through the living room, whispering rose all around. From my right, I clearly heard a familiar woman's voice. Margaret, are you sure? Robert's been gone for 2 years. I didn't respond right away. I simply raised my hand, slowly, as dozens of eyes followed my every movement. In my hand was a small silver USB stick. In that moment, the air in the room seemed to freeze. Alex said nothing. He simply stood up, unplugged the pre-connected cable from the TV, and inserted the USB into the media port. The air in the room grew dense. Everyone held their breath. All the murmurs, the quiet questions, faded into silence. Every pair of eyes turned toward the large screen. The first image appeared. Summer and Robert sitting close together in a cafe. She was resting her head on his shoulder, smiling softly, while he reached out to brush her hair. A loud gasp broke the silence, followed by a wave of stunned whispers. Next came the scene of Robert pulling a white envelope from his coat pocket. Summer took it with both hands, smiling brightly, then leaned in to kiss him gently on the cheek. Finally, the screen showed Robert pulling her closer and kissing her cheek again. Each image was crystal clear, close up, and impossible to deny. One of Alex's uncles shot up from his seat, his voice exploding across the room like a gunshot. My God, Robert, he's alive? A friend of mine stood too, her hand trembling as she pointed at the screen. Dear heavens, this is revolting. Summer, you and your own father-in-law? Summer screamed. Her eyes darted wildly as she stepped toward the screen as if she could tear it apart. It's fake. All of it. They hired actors. They're trying to destroy me. Alex, you have to believe me. That's not me. She lunged forward, trying to rip the USB from the media player, but Alex stepped in front of her, raising a hand to block her. His voice was ice cold. That's enough, Summer. Do you really think I'm that stupid? Summer collapsed to her knees, clinging to Alex's leg, her face soaked with tears. No, you've got it wrong. You have to listen to me. I was forced into it. Alex pulled his leg away, his eyes filled with fury, then shoved her hard to the floor. "Get out of my sight. You lying whore. You and that man make me sick." At that moment, Alex's phone rang. He picked it up and put it on speaker. A police officer's voice came through, clear and firm. "Mr. Alex, this is the police. We have successfully taken Robert into custody at the hotel address you provided. Are you and Mrs. Margaret able to come down to the station?" The entire room froze. No one said a word. Summer collapsed onto the floor, her body shaking uncontrollably, eyes dazed, mouth open, but no sound coming out. I stepped forward and stopped in front of her. I looked at her for a long time. Not with anger, but with the weariness and bitterness of a woman who had once placed her trust in the wrong person. "So, do you have anything left to say?" She lowered her face to the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks. And for the first time since everything began, the room fell into complete silence. A silence heavier than any accusation could ever be. I sat in the observation room, behind a pane of frosted glass. The air felt unnaturally still, as though the entire space had paused in anticipation. Across the table sat Robert, the man I had once called my husband for 35 years. His head hung low, fingers tightly interlaced, sweat beginning to glisten on his brow. The investigator adjusted the microphone. His voice came through steady, without a trace of emotion. "Mr. Robert, we need the full story. Why did you fake your death?" Robert slowly lifted his head. His voice was hoarse, brittle, like wood left too long in the damp, finally giving way. "Summer and I had been involved for a while. At first, it was just loneliness. But I got drawn in. She was young, vibrant. She made me feel alive again. With Margaret, it was always complaints, always criticism. Everything felt suffocating. I wanted a fresh start." A low laugh escaped me, one that didn't echo but seemed to cut through the quiet with its weight. I fixed my eyes on him and didn't look away. "A fresh start, you say? So you chose to disappear, to pretend you were dead, and run away with your daughter-in-law. After 35 years together, is that what I was to you? Just an old woman who nagged too much and deserved to be betrayed?" He turned slightly, wiping at his damp forehead. His voice softened, but he clung to a tone of composure. "I'm not saying it was right, but I felt trapped. With Summer, I felt seen. I felt wanted. We needed money to begin again. The life insurance seemed like the fastest way. Beside me, Alex was trembling. I could hear the sharp breath he took, trying to hold back the fury rising in his chest. But he couldn't contain it any longer. So it was about money, about your need to feel young again. You were willing to destroy the image of a father I carried in my heart. You let my mother live in grief for 2 whole years. Do you even know how many nights she cried herself to sleep?" Robert kept his head bowed, no longer meeting anyone's eyes. His voice shrank to a fragile murmur, like a cornered animal making its last sounds. "I was wrong. I thought only of myself. I staged the car accident, hid at a friend's place in Texas. Summer stayed behind to collect the insurance money and keep the secret. But then I started gambling. Online bets. I lost more than I had. Most of the money is gone. Summer began pulling away from me. I had to come back. I needed to reach her. I closed my eyes. 2 hot tears slipped quietly down my cheeks. They were not born out of pity, and not because I still loved him. They came because the truth was simply too cruel. I used to believe that the greatest pain was losing someone to death. But it isn't. The deepest pain comes from realizing that person never died at all. They simply chose to walk away when you needed them the most. I opened my eyes and looked at Robert one last time. There was no anger left, no hope either. Only a hollow, cold emptiness. And beyond that emptiness, something else had begun to take shape. Justice. The next day, I stood in my own living room, yet it felt like I was breathing the air of a place I no longer recognized. The air was thick, oppressive, and every breath felt sharp enough to cut through skin. In front of me stood Mr. and Mrs. Thomas, Summer's parents, along with their youngest son, her brother. They had come to take Summer away, but I could tell from the way they carried themselves that this visit was not born from forgiveness. Mr. Thomas's face was flushed with rage, his hands trembling slightly, yet his voice was steady and cold. "You are a disgrace. You've brought shame to the Thomas name. I no longer have a daughter named Summer. Don't you dare set foot in our home again." The words struck Summer like a blade, sharp and final. But for the rest of us, they were a release. Mrs. Thomas sobbed, her voice rising in disbelief and despair. "What happened to my daughter? Do you have even a shred of decency left? You destroyed your own family, and now you've shattered someone else's. You had an affair with your own father-in-law. My God, it's sickening." Her brother stood still, saying nothing, not cursing or shouting, but the look in his eyes was colder and more merciless than anything words could deliver. "You're nothing but shame. Don't call, don't message. We don't want anything to do with you." Summer broke down in tears, her face streaked with mascara and exhaustion. She stumbled forward, reaching for her mother with shaking arms. "Mom, I'm sorry. I truly am. Please, just let me explain. Mrs. Thomas pulled her hand away as if scorched, turning her face sharply to the side. Even the thought of being touched seemed unbearable to her. "Don't touch me. You are no longer my daughter. Leave this place and face what you've done." Summer collapsed on the living room floor, a solitary figure surrounded by the backs of those who once called her family. There was no need for me to speak. That image alone was punishment enough. I turned and walked away without a word. Alex stood silently in the corner of the room, holding Ben in his arms. My son did not glance at Summer. He said nothing at all. A month later, I went to the detention center. Early autumn sunlight fell gently across the yard, but the wind still carried a bite that stung the skin. I stood waiting at the gate. Ahead of me stood Summer, thin and pale in her prison uniform. There was nothing left of the woman who once walked so proudly through my home. Her head was bowed low. Her voice trembled. "Mrs. Margaret, I'm truly sorry." I looked at her without a flicker of softness. My voice came low and steady, every word carved from stone. "Sorry? You think an apology can undo 2 years of lies? Can it erase the pain my son endured or the filth of your betrayal? I came here to say one thing. Thank you." She lifted her head, stunned. Her tear-streaked eyes couldn't hide the confusion flooding her face. I continued, my voice calm, each word falling like a stone in still water. "Thank you for revealing the true face of a traitor. Thank you for freeing me and my son from the filthy performance you and that man so carefully staged. Because of you, we are finally alive. We are no longer trapped inside a lie." I stepped closer, just enough so no one else could hear. "And remember this, Ben will never know you existed. He will grow up loved, protected, and he will only know that his mother has been gone for a very long time. You will vanish from his life completely." Before she could respond, I raised my hand. The slap landed hard across her face, echoing like a final sentence. I didn't shake. I didn't burn with rage. I felt peace. That slap wasn't just from me. It came from every day I lived beneath humiliation. It was closure. I turned and walked away without looking back. Farewell. May God forgive your broken soul. One quiet afternoon, I sat on the front steps of the house, a warm cup of tea cradled in my hands. Ben was running across the yard, laughing as he chased a plastic ball, his joy echoing through the garden. Alex sat beside me, our shoulders gently touching. Mom, everything will pass. We're going to be okay. We have each other, and we have Ben. I reached for his hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. For the first time in 2 years, a real smile slowly found its way to my face. Yes, I know. The storm has finally passed, and we're still here, together. The sunset poured golden light over the trees, the grass, and something deep within me. No more lies. No more silent suffering. We were alive, and for the first time after everything, it finally felt like living. If this story touched you in any way, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Hit the like button if you want to send strength to those who've been hurt. And don't forget to subscribe to Revenge Diary for more stories that move the heart. Thank you for listening.